Hey everybody, it's Sophie from Hotspot, and we're back for Hot Takes episode 2. Today we've got Counter-Strike expert Dan Morris with us and Dota 2 expert Patrick Bonifacio. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great, thanks. It's currently 4 p.m. here. Probably new to some of you guys because I'm from Southeast Asia. So some afternoon esports discussion here today.
Yeah, I'm
Nice.
happy to be back, and I am very tired because it is not 4 p.m. here. It's 9 a.m.
It is. I think collectively between us on this podcast, we got 16 hours of sleep last night. So we're doing well. We're doing well. So today we are going to be talking about Counter Strike. We're going to be talking about PGL Bucharest, and we're also going to touch on ESL1 Raleigh. So if this is your first time watching Hot Takes, then let us know what you like down in the comments and hit the like and subscribe button whilst you're here. So let's get into it. Dan, what's your hot take for this week?
My hot take is that the Mongols and Eternal Fire are not going to win PGL Bucharest, and both of them really need to. They,
That's so interesting. Okay, because I was thinking because Vitality and Maus aren't going to be there, this is a slam dunk for Mongols.
yeah, I mean, it should be a home run in theory, really, but I've just got a feeling that despite everything being in their favor, they're just not going to do it. Like they really need to. Like when you look at the teams attending this event, it's bad. like like the state of play, both of them teams for me come in as favourites. But
Hmm.
they're the teams that, have made it to the playoffs consistently all year
Yep.
and have just never been able to do anything with it. I think the phrase I would use is all fart, no shite. Like they just cannot follow through on anything. Like it's so bad.
I mean, yeah, it does kind of feel like, at least with the Mongols, they're very dependent on 910. And
Mhm.
I mean, he's a good author, but I don't know
Yeah,
how often he's hitting. I mean, he's not Zywoo.
yeah. I mean, I would put him on the same level as Woxic from Eternal Fire. You
Mm,
can't you can't rely on him to win you a tournament,
yep,
which
yep.
is fine with the Mongols. I think the average age is like 20. Like they are a bunch of kids, and I think that's important to remember. As much as I can give them stick for not being like playoff gods, like there's plenty of time for that. Like we look at Mars, they they weren't stage players until this year, and there was a good 18 months where everyone just said stage chokers, they're never going to do it. But that's been different this year. But the one thing I will say is PGL Bucharest get to the playoffs. It's not a stage event. It's
That's a good
easy to forget.
point.
So it's a studio event still. So if they were going to do it, it was going to be here. And if they don't, I struggle to see where they win an event this year. Say, but Mongols and Eternal Fire, because I would put them just in that same category. To be honest, they're just that tier below the teams that aren't attending this event, really, with the exception of Navi. Navi are, their own thing this year, but it's not pretty.
I mean, first of all, it's absolutely wild that in this event we're not talking about FaZe and G2 at this point. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
crazy, but it's
I'm
also crazy that two teams, like obviously Mongols and Eternal Fire, both made playoffs in Katowice, and now we're thinking that they probably can't win a studio event.
yeah. Like they will make playoffs. If they don't make playoffs, that's a bigger problem. If they don't manage that here, that is something else entirely. But they will. But yeah, I've just got a feeling that they won't sort of get over the line still. I just think someone else will overperform. Falcons are there.
Mm.
When they went out of Blast Open, the vibes were absolutely just sour. Like it was horrible. I don't know if you
Hmm.
saw the interviews. It was really bad.
Yeah,
So it'd be
yeah.
interesting to see how they show up because when they show up, like they've got Nico. Any team with Nico, I'm just not willing to write off. Like he carried Stewie 2K to an event win in 2024. Like that is like if he can win with this set of players, if he can win with Stewie 2K and Nexa, So
Yeah.
we'll see what Falcons show up as well, because that'll be interesting.
I was going to ask about that actually.
Mhm.
I only recently learned that Nico is actually with Falcons, because I haven't watched professional CS in a long time, like at length. Like I'm talking about a whole tournament. The only pro CS that I consume now is basically just highlights. So I was gonna ask, how much does someone like Nico like elevate a team like Falcons that has been struggling with roster changes this whole time? They don't seem to ever gel. Yeah, just wanted to know.
Yeah, he's the type of player that can. It's a 5v5 game, but he just tilts the balance completely. He can turn a team that would maybe make it to playoffs, and maybe even below that, and he can win them the tournament. Like, I would say at IEM Dallas, that is what he did. That was last year, with two players that were passengers while leading the team as well, because he calls as well, which is such an underrated part of Counter-Strike.
Yeah, because he's not IGLing for Falcons, is he? It's Kixon.
It's Kixon, yeah, but it's well known that he on CT sides will call quite a lot. I think Zonich recently called him the best CT side caller he's ever played with, and he's not even the IGL. And this was obviously, he's only been with Falcons for 3 months. For me, he's the greatest rifler of all time. And
yeah, I'd be willing to believe it for sure.
There's not really any competition, and this is a guy that obviously is missing that major from his trophy cabinet, and you can still sort of say that with confidence. Like, there's just no one better. And for me, like, at an event like this, especially where the top teams are missing, yeah, like, I could absolutely believe that, like, Nico puts in a 1.8 every game and they win the tournament. Like, it's silly how good he is.
Absolutely. It sort of seems to me that his playstyle gels quite well with Dexter as well. I think those two are sort of, I mean, more on Nico than Dexter's side, but I definitely think that they're elevating each other's playstyle.
Dexter's always been quite inconsistent for me. He was on OG, and then he basically disappeared off the face of the map for, I want to say, a year. And in that time, that was the gap between CS:GO and CS2. So he come back to a whole new game. So I've been quite impressed with how he sort of managed to bring himself into the new game and really keep his place in a game that doesn't necessarily favour AWPers either.
Definitely. And if Simple can't do it,
yeah,
transitioning to CS2 has not been as easy as I thought it would initially be when it first came out.
I mean, I don't know if you saw the clip of Simple that was rolling around on Reddit the other day.
No, I didn't.
Oh, he was on stream playing, and he was drunk, and it was just,
Oops.
Yeah, it was not pretty. I don't think he'll ever come back. I think he's done.
Yeah, I did see. I saw a quote from him saying that he plays Dota more than he plays CS these days.
Yeah. Well, when CS2 came out, he just complained about the game, like, constantly. And I remember at the time, you had, like, I think it was JL. He was on stream saying, "Look, I don't care what state the game's in. I'm just going to play and grind. I'm going to be the best at it." And that's when, obviously, they went on to win the major last year. And that's the difference. I mean, I think Simple's the GOAT CS:GO player, but, like, he doesn't like the game. And if he doesn't like the game, he's not going to play it.
Exactly. I mean, you just have to be able to grind. And I definitely think JL has the right attitude there. And I think, obviously Na'Vi aren't where they want to be now, but I think, what did they say? It took Alexi B 7 attempts to lift a major trophy, or was that an IEM? I can't remember. Either way, it's that attitude.
Yeah. But yeah, you mentioned again about G2 falling off. That sort of ties into what we were talking about with Nico. That's why they're falling off, because he's not there anymore. Like, it's like that simple.
I mean, MongolZ can try and take the rest of the team on his back, but there's only so far he can carry them.
Yeah, like, to win, the problem they've got is they shouldn't be thinking about winning tournaments now. They just need to think about winning matches, because, like, I don't know who they were playing the other day, but I looked at the scoreboard, and Hunter had 34 kills. He was like 34 and 10. And I was like,
Oh
is this
yes.
and they're scraping past people. And it's like, mate, if you've got Hunter getting 34 kills and you're scraping past people, you are in serious trouble.
Absolutely. Yeah, I talked to Hunter about this when we were in Lisbon. I think it was his career best map on Mirage. He ended up with like 36 kills, 3 clutches. And I asked him like, what's going through your head when you're doing this? And he was like, if someone told me going into this match that it would have been a career best, then I wouldn't have believed them.
Mhm.
And I was like, I definitely understand where you're coming from. But it would have been really good if you were like, no, I grinded, I worked. Like I
Yeah.
really wanted this to happen and I made it happen. But
No,
yeah.
like they've got obviously MongolZ has moved from some pretty shit spots, so and he's taken over Nico's roles, which is what he was familiar with before he joined the team. But he's
Yep.
performing far worse in better roles,
Hmm.
and you know he's still a kid, and he's feeling the pressure of taking over Nico's roles because he's not calling like Nico did, so he's not bringing all the same stuff.
Yep.
Heavy God, he's becoming really inconsistent. Snacks.
Yeah. He came from OG as well, Heavy God, didn't he?
He, I don't know if it was direct. He came from Cloud9, so it
Oh,
was
that was it.
OG
Yes.
Cloud9.
Hmm.
Yeah, he was a star on OG, and he was sort of seen as the next big thing, but it obviously hasn't. I mean, he's on a good team, and he is a
Yep.
decent player, but he's not as good as I thought he'd be. At least I thought this G2 team would be better than it is. Obviously, Snacks is again. He's just Snacks. Like he's a legend, and it was fun to see him lift some trophies.
Yep.
But G2 should have gone for siuhy, which,
Oh, now that's a hot take.
well, I mean, by the sounds of it, it looks like he's gone to Liquid. I know you wanted
I
to
mean,
touch
we're
on.
what, like 2 days out from Bucharest? We're still waiting on an announcement.
Yeah, I mean, I saw something a couple of days ago. Says he started practicing with them.
Mm.
Like, I really love the move with one massive caveat. So, from what I've heard, it's a loan until the end of Austin.
Oh,
I
interesting.
I don't. I mean, it might be a financial thing. There were things coming out recently about Liquid having to financially restructure,
Mm.
and in that case, a loan makes sense, but it might be worse in the long run because you get a tease of what might have been and
Yeah, and
goes.
then you're sort of hoping. Yeah, you know what I was just
Yeah.
thinking? My most of my understanding about Team Liquid comes from Dota, obviously. They won TI last year, and I was like, how could they need financial restructuring? And then I remembered that the TI prize pool is just dog now.
Yeah, yeah, and
So,
they
yeah.
they haven't won in CS for 6 years, 6 years.
Yeah.
Back when Stewie was playing for them, like a very long time ago. So they've not been raking in the money in Counter Strike for a very long time.
Yeah. That's
Um,
interesting.
so yeah, like I say, I've heard the siuhy thing, and sometimes with IGLs you get like a great honeymoon period, and it's amazing. But sometimes that doesn't happen, and it takes 3-4 months to get up to speed
Mm.
and to get up to your peak. So what happens is if you're Liquid and he just goes just as it's getting good, like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
could
I mean,
be.
if they can time the peak up to the major, then that would be great. But
Yeah. I mean, I think we're a long way away from Team Liquid winning trophies. Like,
yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah,
Tell you the truth.
absolutely. Because I guess this brings us on quite nicely to the discussion about Dota, because we've got the ESL1 Raleigh tournament starting on Sunday? Question mark on the 7th, and
Yes.
we just got the announcement yesterday that Malrine isn't going to be playing with Team Falcons, and Quinn is going to be stepping in.
Yeah.
So,
So NA Dota is so back, right? uh, yeah. So this is the first major tournament in North America in a long time. Honestly, the last one I can remember that was that was even in a LAN setting was probably TI 8, if I'm not mistaken. The one where they went back to Seattle for a while.
Yeah, did they do? Was there an ESL1 in New York? I think that was like 2015 or something.
Yeah, that was a very long time ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, TI 8 was in Vancouver, which is still North America.
It's still NA. It counts.
Yeah, it counts. So been a while. It you mentioned as you did mention, Malrine won't be playing for Falcons at this tournament because of visa issues. He actually skipped the second group stage of Dream League Season 25 just to try and ensure that his visa application would go through, but unfortunately he didn't get it. Nothing too surprising considering where he's from, but yeah, Quinn from Gaming Gladiators is going to stand in for him in the mid lane position, and I'd say there's definitely worse people that you could ask to sub for you in that spot.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because I guess I was actually expecting more players to have visa problems because like it seems like all of Team Spirit have gotten, and I think everybody bar Yatoro is Russian.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Which is kind of surprising. I don't know what it is with Malrine in particular. I'm sure he's a great guy.
I mean, he's a
So
great guy.
yeah, I wouldn't think there's any real reason for the U.S. embassy to deny him his application. But you know, when it comes to U.S. visa applications, coming from take it from me, from someone from Southeast Asia, they can give it to you or not give it to you on a whim. They never really provide you a reason as to why. So yeah, sad for Malrine, but he'll have to watch from the sidelines for this one.
Yeah, definitely. Because I guess Falcons. See, we were saying this on the episode last week that Falcons in CS are just like they're doing their best to buy the best players in the world. It's not super working. And then they super did that in Dota as well. And it really worked for a while.
For a while, yeah.
Yeah, but now they're not on top like they were this time last year. So I guess my question is now that they've got Quinn standing in, they're sort of middle of the pack. What are we expecting from Falcons, do you think?
Personally, I think they'll be fine for the most part because we know what Quinn is capable of. He's
Mm.
probably the best, like, pure laner in terms of just the 1v1 matchup in the mid lane. Historically speaking, he's almost always won his lanes. That has only really changed recently. Um, Probably, because he's also had to think about how to make Watson and now also Malady, gel with team after Deraccio and Celery left recently. But I think for the most part they'll be okay because the recent results, they haven't really won anything, but they've hung around. At least they're not completely out of it like Gaiman was before. Was that Blast Slam 2 and more recently, was it Fissure Universe Episode 4?
Yeah.
So while they aren't nearly as dominant as they were last year, they've still got, so much experience and talent. They've got snaking, they've got crit. ATF is still the best offlaner in the world, I would say.
I think he'd agree with you.
Yeah, for sure. He'd be the first to tell me. And AUI being their coach is a huge deal. I think with his level of experience and with what he's seen over the years, him being a TI champion firsthand and also being one of the greatest Dota coaches of all time, they can win basically at any time that they wanted. It's just a matter of whether or not the other team that they're facing is better on that day. So for Raleigh in particular, even with all the sharks out there, you've got your Liquids, your Paravisions, your Bet Booms. Even with the Quinn situation and having to, build chemistry in a hurry, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, maybe not a top 3, but because I guess, again, similar with Bucharest here, that they don't have the top 2 teams arguably in the world right now. Would we call MongolZ the second best team in the world? That doesn't feel right.
In CS.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't know what presents they've got in Dota, so I was like, I don't know.
No, yeah. Yeah, 0, yeah.
Yeah.
So if they're not playing Bucharest, and then yes, we do have Tundra, but Tundra don't have Doraccio anymore, and I am not as on Crystallis as Owen is. Owen is a big Crystallis enjoyer, and I am not.
Yeah, he's not somebody that I would necessarily turn to, if I wanted to like win a huge tournament. Like I'm not saying that he's not good.
No, I mean, he'd 1v1 me one-handed and win,
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah. But he's not exactly someone I would call the most consistent carry player. And for Tundra, I would, in a betting situation, absolutely go with Doraccio before Crystallis. And without Doraccio, I don't think Tundra is quite as good as they could otherwise be. Still a top 3 threat for sure, because 3-3, my God, that guy is a ceiling and floor raiser. I did say that ATF is the best offlaner in the world, and I still think that's the case mechanically speaking. But 3-3 is just when you talk about someone who's a glue guy and someone that really elevates your team, that's the guy I would want on my roster.
Yeah, he's the Dota equivalent of a caller, essentially. He's incredible.
Yeah, like he might not necessarily be, a captain all the time. He might not be calling the shots, drafting. But when it comes to the moment-to-moment gameplay, there are few others that I would rather trust over him. Now, that hasn't really worked out the way they'd hoped over the last few tournaments. After the 2 that they won back-to-back earlier this year, it's not looked quite as good as it could otherwise be. But again, yeah, they're here, and even with Crystallis there, I think in any given match, they're still capable of taking it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess if we sort of come on to the last topic that we wanted to talk about today, it is the Swiss system for TI that was just announced. So I want to know what both of you guys think about Swiss systems for tournaments for your respective games. So Dan, let's start with you. I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you think of the Swiss system?
I like it, to be honest. I like it a lot more than like double elimination groups, for example. I really like the Swiss system. There's genuinely no reason for it. You end up seeing the sort of same quality of games, in my opinion. I don't think it really affects, at least in CS, it doesn't really affect the quality of games that we see. Yeah, I really like it. I think over the years, we've seen some interesting results come out of the Swiss system. I remember a couple of years back, we nearly saw FaZe not make a major just by getting a really bad draw. And it can produce some fun results. So personally, I'm all for it. Obviously, I don't know sort of the context of how it works within Dota, whether it affects results any differently. But yeah.
Good. Okay, good. Because I was also fairly pro this Swiss system. I was having a look at the Wikipedia page for it, and I think it looks quite decent for TI. What were you saying, Patrick?
Yeah, they mentioned in the announcement for the format and the system itself that they're going to implement the Swiss system in hopes that every game will matter, which is great because when it comes to Dota, we typically do round robin group stages where it's two groups of say 8 teams each in a 16-team tournament, and too often there's maybe like one or two teams that do really poorly and end up playing games that don't matter towards the end of the group stage. Like they're already mathematically eliminated. They're only really playing for the last scraps of the prize pool. If the tournament in question even awards prize money to the bottom 8 or the bottom 4. So I personally would like to avoid something like that. And yeah, the Swiss system does lend itself well in that regard. So in the case of TI, since it's the biggest tournament of the year, you want every game to matter as much as possible. And actually, I think we had this with Fissure Universe as well, if I'm not mistaken. They used the Swiss system, and while the quality of games just on their own were pretty much what you would expect, as Dan mentioned, that's also the case with CS. There's a bit more tension to it if every game matters, and there's a possibility for a team that wasn't really expected to make it far to even make it to the playoffs. That's what almost happened with Boom Esports, but they lost to Falcons 2-1. So sad for my boys, but
it was so close though. Like that is the best showing that Boom have had in ages. I really wanted them to go the whole way. Yeah.
It's still talent for now for Southeast Asia, but I think Boom are getting close. But anyway, going back to TI, yeah, I'm all for the Swiss system. I think it's gonna not necessarily create better quality games, as we said, but the spectacle will be better.
Yeah, absolutely, which is pretty much what we want for TI. I think Valve is doing pretty much everything they can to save TI at this point, and it needs to happen.
From the outside, what is the deal with this? Because obviously from outside of the prize pools from years ago are far beyond anything we've ever seen in Counter-Strike. And I'm just curious what the deal is.
Oh yeah, so the TIs of before were all crowdfunded, and the reason that the prize pools were so astronomically high is because the battle pass associated with TI sold levels, so you would not instead, but as an alternative to grinding it out by doing in-game quests and tasks and achievements and all that sort of thing. You could just buy it. You could just buy the levels, and a lot of these battle passes had really cool cosmetics that everyone wanted. So anyone with money could just pump the prize pool up to high heaven. I think the highest that we ever got was 33 million, which is just
43 million.
43 million.
Wow.
Yeah, there we go. Just crazy to think about even to this day. But more recently, with the last two editions of TI, Valve have cut out the cosmetics from the battle pass. So there's practically no reason for anyone to give money over to Valve and pump the prize pool up. So yeah, we've got this basically the same average amount as maybe the first 3 TIs. It's not looked great on paper, but personally, I think it's healthier for the game long term, because I don't think that was ever going to be sustainable anyway. It was impossible for TI to keep chasing after the prize pool record year in and year out. I actually wrote about this for Hotspawn some years ago. Link in the description, maybe. But yeah, that's why we haven't seen the same massive prize pools that we used to. I don't think Valve is even remotely interested in going back to that model.
No.
If they are, I'd be pretty surprised at this point.
Definitely, because they're just talking about making the year consistently less TI centric, I think, which is what they did with Crownfall. And Crownfall was
Yes.
the best in-game event I think we've had, bar Aghanim's Labyrinth. Just bring
Yes,
the
I would
Labyrinth
agree.
back, man. Just bring it back. It's the only
us the
reason to
second
play
one.
Dota. Yeah, but I think it's going to take a little bit of time. I don't think we'll ever get back to. I think it was what Spirit that won the 43 million in 2021? Question mark.
I believe so.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever get back there. But so Valve usually contribute 2.6 million, I think, and then everything else on top of that is crowdfunded. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they bring out, because now that they've announced the dates, I think the finals are the 14th of September. We've sort of set the time limit on when the next like in-game event is going to come out, and you can Valve time it as much as you want, but that date is coming. So
5 months. There's some time. I think they can still come up with something. Although topping Crownfall, at least for this year, if that's our only concern, yeah, it's gonna take a lot. It was a really good event. Very engaging. Had some really cool shit that they gave away. Yeah, I think if they want another crowdfunding campaign to be successful, not 43 million successful, as I don't think that's ever going to happen again, but I think they could maybe do a Crownfall like event and then tie that into the prize pool somehow.
Yep, absolutely. So I think we are running a slightly long, but I have one last question that is going to put you on the spot, Dan.
Oh,
And
lovely.
the question is, Valve are putting a lot of work into Dota at the moment, and we are still on the longest run of having no operations in CS. Why?
Because Gabe Newell doesn't like the game as much. No, he's always been a Dota guy. I think that's pretty well noted.
Yep.
But to be honest, obviously all the money from CS is nothing compared to what comes in from Steam. Obviously, skins and stuff brings a lot of things, but they're sort of, personally, I think they're done with operations. I think they're absolutely done with them, because
we're never going to get another one.
No, I don't think so. They've brought in the armory, which sort of was their way to, get people playing the game in the same way that they were with operations to earn stuff. Because with the armory, you gain stars that you can then spend on cases or skins directly. And I think that's their way of doing it now. And they're not stupid. Like, you could sell every player an operation pass for a tenner, as they did. But these armory passes, these guys are the experts at nickel and diamond players, because you can buy 5 at any time and gain stars concurrently. So they basically figured out a way to sell operation passes to players five times over. And then once you finish the operation, you can buy more passes on top of that. You have to you have to max out all the passes and stuff. But in theory, you could spend £50 or $50, whatever, every, month. Whereas at Operation, you'd spend $10 every, let's say they brought one out every 6 months when they did them.
This is just the Candy Crush model.
Like, they are... They are absolutely elite at getting money out of Counter-Strike players. Like, it is a tried and tested model, iterated on over a decade.
Yep.
But these guys are the masters.
Yeah, I
don't think
mean,
we'll see
when
upgrades.
Patrick and I are talking about these in-game Dota cosmetics, Arcanas, they're selling them for 30 quid now. Like they're like 27
Like,
quid, and
one
that's like
skin.
yeah, like but that's like uber rare. And then the prices of CS skins, particularly for knives, that's not even
Well,
touching it.
oh,
Like,
you're talking tens of thousands, thousands.
yeah,
Yeah, no, it's not.
Like someone like me that was went back into the game after CS2 first came out. I was like, maybe I'll buy a cheap knife for myself, and I saw that some of the cheapest are like $90, $100. Like, no, I don't think I'll be sticking around with the game for that long. That my $100 will go the distance. So
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I mean, at
nothing
least
compared to
you can sell them back. Like at least with CS.
there is that. Yeah, yeah,
that's true.
definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one pays me that kind of big wage to.
Hey, you're calling me
to
out here. Well, if Hot Takes gets 10 million clicks, we'll buy Dan a CS knife.
Oh,
That's,
can we
that's the
crowdfund
dedication
that?
that we'll make.
Right, okay. That's the cliff. Please, that's the cliff.
Yeah,
It works.
absolutely. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for your time, guys. It was great to talk to you guys as always. I'm going to say the like and subscribe thing again because I'm not confident on how to end the podcast. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for having me. Bye bye.
Thank you.